Hey, it's September 30th. I seem to be quite inspired. Been writing poetry all morning long. Got all kinds of stuff. This basic thing was kind of interesting. It was just an inspiration that kind of grew from one thought to another. But it's basically talking about nature. That was kind of the original thought about what nature is, and realizing that nature involves a certain amount of politics and things. So it's anyway. Here's what I came up with. Nature is all things naturally obeying the laws of their reality and existence. So in other words, everything has its individual nature and the nature of everything together collectively, but still, the nature is all things naturally obeying the laws of their reality and existence. Laws. So remember this, that's kind of the fundamental concept here. But we'll get so next. Pure practical reason, which coincides with one's own moral law, provides the boundaries of one's life. So we all live within certain moralities. Even the most evil person actually has a morality of some sort. Okay, but anyway, pure practical reason, which coincides with one's own moral law. So in other words, only if everything meshes up together, you know. So actually, people. That's what makes people immoral, if they can't find morals to match up to their desires. So if you can put the two together, then at least you have boundaries to your actions. In Freemasonry, that's what the compass represents. When you see the compass in the symbols, that represents the fact that every man must circumvent his passions. So in other words, you should always have a limit, a border that you know you're not going to cross in terms of pursuit of your desires and passions. So it's up to each person to decide where that line is, but at least you're supposed to have it. The basic animal senses and desires are a less visible expression of a person's motivation to the extent the animal's desires do not support or maintain one's unacquired virtues. Boy, that's a big sentence. The unacquired virtues. So remember, that's like the, in this case, like let's say a person's motivated by sex, okay? And they become a salesman, but it's kind of like their sex, their ability to be a player that's kind of motivating them. And as long as they can satisfy all their desires and everything works, that relationship between the sexual drive and the salesmanship can actually, you know, work and support each other. So that's very natural. But if it's excessive, then you have to like change your morality, or you have to accept the fact you're immoral. I don't know if anybody ever accepts the fact they're an immoral person. I think they just change their morality so that they think they're as moral as the sweetest, most agreeably moral person could be. Anyway, virtues are the transformation of basic desires into productive and beneficial qualities and actions. So here I'm saying virtues. What is the basis of this? You know, do they start from a little holy spark? No, they probably start from something evil. I'm hungry. And so virtues are the transformation of basic desires. That's what I'm implying here, or I'm saying it quite succinctly, actually. I'm looking forward to validating a lot of this stuff. So politicians of the 21st century, this is my concluding thing that kind of led me to this. Politicians of the 21st century must learn to transform their basic desires. Remember, they're all attorneys. They have to be an attorney before you get to Washington. Their basic desires of greed, because you can't be an attorney unless you want money. You don't do it for free. I haven't seen any. Deception, because as an attorney, even Socrates said that a lawyer should never be proud of his success, because that just means he's able to bend the truth better than anybody else. And the destruction of character, which is an attorney's, you know, weapon of force. That's what they love to do. That's what they're trained to do, is to destroy other people's reputations. Even if it's Jesus Christ, man, they'd find some way to spin him as an evildoer. So anyway. Oh yeah, so anyway, they have to be able to destroy someone's character into smiles that promise whatever the voters want to hear. So remember, as they're doing all this damage and destruction and chopping people up and destroying other politicians and characters and whatever it is they're doing, which is destructive and evil and uncalled for and unnecessary and really not part of their job description, they basically have to convince everybody that, hey, this is the right thing to do. And the sad thing is most people say, oh yeah, okay, I guess, I'm glad you're evil, I'm glad you're killing those people, I'm glad you're doing that, because you know, you're my guy. So sorry, getting off track here a little bit. Anyway, whatever, this morality of service through deception. Hey, I like that, service through deception. That's what a politician and attorney is. Their success in secrecy and competitive greed has inspired the American politicians to produce a war that will never end, while they inspire the American voters to believe they are doing it for them. Wow. So you see, to be a politician, you got to be one heck of a salesman. You got to be able to sell absolute lies, you know, and make people feel good about it. That's a skill I'm glad I never got. And I guess that's, once again, I've been talking about session players. I've been going through this morality on being a musician in terms of how far I'll sell out as even a musician, which if you're not a musician, nobody says, well, you're ridiculous. Do it for the money. They just don't understand. So that's why I'm writing this stuff and actually trying to illuminate the fact that I would like to inspire more people to be real musicians or creative musicians. The world's always going to need more jukeboxes and people who can play what I've done. I'm going to need a whole bunch of guitar players who could never write what I wrote and inspire people like I inspire people or say what I say, but they'll be able to play the song and maybe even make their voice sound like me, and that's going to be the future for you guys. But you should try to get me fresh while I'm still here. You know, you should really be getting a performance from me while I'm, because nobody's going to ever perform my stuff as good as I can or say it in the way that I can from my soul. But it'll be fun to know that people are. Is that going to be fun to see people imitating me? It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. And I'd like, hopefully, even if they play my music crappy, hopefully my message and information will come through.